Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're unfamiliar with Duckgate, allow me to explain. But before we get into that, let me just preface this with saying this is my second time recording this video because I recorded this video and then I was like, you know, that wasn't that good. Let me scrap it and just see if anybody wants to like talk about this because like I find it kind of interesting, but at the same time, I'm weird. So I don't speak for everyone if they find it interesting. So then I like posted on social media asking if you guys wanted to see this, which it was pretty much everybody said yes. A few people said no, but like it was 30%, everybody else said yes, so like it's fine. But yeah, then a person that is making an appearance in this video by name commented because she had done a video first, and that's kind of why I wanted to make mine, because I disagreed with like some of the stuff she said. And so she commented on my post saying like, I did the video, but I am curious about what you like have to say. So here we are. Okay, so let's enlighten you to the situation. There's a designer called Crochet by Elle who released a duck pattern, and I'll pop it up on the screen like right here, on her Instagram back in 2022. You guys have seen the duck. I'm pretty sure it's appeared on my channel before. It's cute. I'll link my like pattern compilation videos down below because I don't know which one it's in, but I'm pretty sure it's in at least one of them. Anywho, now we're at present day. Enter Ashley Peters. So she is a fellow crochet YouTuber. She's got like a small channel, but did subscribe to her, and bless her heart, it seems that she's gotten herself in a little bit of hot water, you know. It's got to be hard to be like a brand new like baby YouTuber having to put out your first apology video at like 500 subscribers in. So bless her heart. I feel for her, but we will not skip to the end yet and discuss her apology video because I have thoughts on that later. I just want to keep you like apprised so far of what's happening. So what had happened was Ashley did what us crocheters do. She crocheted this duck pattern, brought it to her markets. She had this great idea of doing like a build your own duck station. So she like made a bunch of duck bodies, a bunch of like different colored duck hats, a bunch of different colored duck purses, and then her customers could come and like mix and match. And honestly, that's a good idea. I kind of like it. So yay, Ashley. And it quickly became her bestseller. So again, yay, Ashley. I love that for her. It is like a good idea. And at that point, there were no issues because that's what all of us do. We like buy a pattern, find a pattern, crochet the pattern, bring it to market. Standard fare. However, Ashley became successful enough in her like build your own duck enterprise that she decided that she was going to outsource the ducks to keep up with demand, which to me obviously like makes sense. You know, if you can't keep up with the demand, you just get someone else to help you make the product. However, instead of commissioning someone to crochet more ducks with her, she came up with the idea to have some actual plushie, like a full stuffed animal of the duck made by like a manufacturer in China. She even like went as far as like testing out multiple manufacturers to get this plushie just so it actually like bared like a good resemblance to the original version of the duck. So I do kind of also appreciate her due diligence because like, you know, she wanted to make a good product. So it's not like she's out here like trying to scam people. And that's my take on it, I will say. So this is the point at which Cat Cake enters the chat, which is the person who commented on my like post about should I do this or not. She was the one who did the original video pointing out this like weird situation because Ashley had been talking about this on like her platform. Nobody really seemed to be pointing out the like moral ramifications here, but then Cat Cake, and I'm so sorry, I don't know her actual name, it's like her channel name. So Cat Cake is another crochet YouTuber. Her channel looks pretty new too. Her oldest video is about 5 months old, but her channel like presence is like almost as big as mine. So like obviously we're not like huge YouTubers, but she's got like a solid platform, and clearly it's because people like trust her and like her opinion. And it's worth noting I also subscribe to her. I don't have like any issues with her, but she's important in the story because she put out the video that I stumbled upon that brought me like up to date on the situation more or less. And since I like some piping hot tea as much as the next person, I watched the whole video and I think she provided a beautiful commentary on the potential morality of the situation. Interest piqued, I then headed over to Ashley's channel and watched her video about this situation, the first being her like apology video, and I got the story from her perspective. And that's kind of where I decided to make this video because, well, I do think Cat Cake had some like nice talking points in her video, there are a couple of things that I disagreed with. So I'm not personally going to make a carbon copy of her video. So if you're like interested in hearing all like potential consequences of this laid out, I'm going to link it below and you can head on over to Cat Cake's video and watch it because I do think it's a good video. But this video sets the morality issues aside, and I want to first like share where I disagree and then share the part that I think Cat Cake missed that's like very much worth noting saying in this particular scenario. We're gonna start with where I disagree with Cat Cake. And can I just call her Cat? I know that I don't think that's like her actual name, but I'm gonna just call her Cat because it's like easier. But yeah, we'll start with where I disagree with her. I just want to say first and foremost, I do understand the morality issue here. So like nobody come at me for like defending the person that did like the wrong thing. I do get that, but there's also other things worth mentioning. So you probably should not do what Ashley did, all that to say. But I did completely resonate with how Ashley explained her whole situation, how this whole thing came to be. Basically, and this is like my wording of what she said, not verbatim like her words. And so like if you're any of the parties involved and you watch this and you think I'm interpreting your wording wrong, please like let me know. But I'm going to put this in my own words, how I understood what was being said. So basically, like me, she suffers from a too much gene. And if you're unfamiliar with this made-up concept of a too much gene, you just basically like full send on everything. Like I couldn't just like take up crochet. I had to start a crochet business. I couldn't just like buy some yarn. I had to buy like all the yarn. Too much of everything too fast. So basically, I kind of get where she is coming from because she didn't word it like this, but she basically got tunnel vision with her idea, which I do get where she's coming from on the idea, because in like her head, as far as she's concerned, this is a fantastic idea. So she's like went all in on implementation, and she never got as far as like pushing past like thinking about the potential consequences of what she did, which I can understand how that is overlooked. So she thought, you know, the people like the ducks. I just need more ducks. This is how I'll get me more ducks. And I think we can all kind of see the like linear thought process there. If we also take a step back, she's already taking somebody else's pattern and making that product for markets. So obviously this is a little bit different. The manufacturer isn't using the pattern to like make the ducks, but like I could see like she's already making this, so she just found another way to make this. So I get the thought process, okay? Obviously, when we further take a step back from that, we can see this is like a little bit sus. But I disagree with how Cat Cake laid it out, because to me, and Ashley did not have this take, so that's worth noting. To me, it felt like Cat villainized her just like a little bit, because she went as far as like scrolling all her social media and saying that like her whole social media is built around this duck, never once crediting this duck, pointing out how she's always referring to the duck in her videos as my duck. So like she had all these reasons why she was basically implying that this was like an intentional situation, that Ashley just didn't seem to care about ramifications. And I didn't have that take when I watched the apology video. I had the take of like, I understand her train of thought, and I understand why like the train left the station when it did, and it did not go further into like consequence land. But at the same time, and maybe this is like why I like resonate with the way Ashley laid out the situation, I personally don't always credit every designer when I post a picture of something I made. I was real bad about it in like my first year doing this. I'm getting better about it now, but there are definitely times when I don't like post a link or a credit to every single pattern that I've made. So I do that. And for plushies that I've made, I call them like my whatever. So I might say a phrase like, at this market, I sold my teacup gnome for $75, which true story. You know, you could see how that wording there, it's not meant to be like nefarious. It's just like, I made the thing, so it's mine. But like, obviously I did not make the pattern. So I get the like wording in the videos of like my. And then, I'm sorry, but it's just kind of a smart social media strategy as somebody who like works in social media to lean into a topic that you're getting traction on. We'll use another Ashley for an example, but we all know probably it's just Ashley who basically got famous for looking like Taylor Swift, and now she does like a lot of Taylor Swift content. It would be like not a good business decision if we did not lean into the things that piqued people's interest. So all that to say is I don't see the same like nefariousness in the situation. Just like seeing her, Ashley, talk about it, I just don't get any sort of malicious intent. Like, I do think it was a poor judgment call, but I don't see her out there just trying to like make money off of somebody else's back. You know what I'm saying? So that's disagreement one. And again, Ashley did not take anything she said personally. She actually described what Kat said as like not mean, because apparently people have started like attacking her, like her character and everything. But at the same time, I just wanted to point out that like Kat felt like she was being harsher than the situation called for. especially given the fact that there is like an apology video and everything. But again, we'll get there. So like I said, Kat, if you happen to watch this and you think I like misinterpreted something you said, by all means correct me. We all have kind of different communication styles. I'm not trying to like call you out on something or anything like that. This is how I interpreted what you said. If you did not mean what I'm taking it as, like, please correct me, because like, you know, communication is not always like black and white, and I just definitely don't want to like offend anybody by saying this is what she said. If that's not actually what you said, you know what I'm saying? Okay. Anyway, the next thing that I disagreed with her on is her take on infringement. So in the video, infringement obviously gets brought up. So I think at this point, we all know what we're not allowed to do as far as like making and selling a trademark character. Like I can't make a Minion plushie and bring it to a market and sell it technically. However, it is worth noting, and we're kind of going to go over like the basics of like infringement in this video, just so we can like make sure everybody's on the same page. So you are allowed to make a trademark character for yourself. You are allowed to make a trademark character and gift it to somebody. Like if I wanted to make a Minion for my baby and give it to my baby, he's allowed to like get my like Minion. You are even allowed to make a free pattern of a trademarked thing and post it on the internet. So basically, as long as you're not exchanging money for this trademarked thing, you can do it. The next caveat to that is parody. So parodying a trademark character is technically allowed under fair use. That's how the movie like Blood and Honey, I think it's called, got made. It's like a Winnie the Pooh horror movie. So because that was like spoof art, it's allowed under fair use and there was no infringement in that situation. The next time you're allowed to use a trademark character is when they have entered the public domain. At that point, they're no longer trademarked. They're like open for like use. And that usually happens like a certain amount of time after something's put out or after like somebody dies, yada, yada, yada. So for instance, since we were talking about Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne wrote Winnie the Pooh. His Winnie the Pooh in the books is like a naked bear. The naked bear Pooh is in the public domain. So if you want to make a naked Pooh, you can. However, Disney created the adaptation of Winnie the Pooh and the Red Shirt that is not in the public domain. So Red Shirt Pooh would be infringement. Likewise, Steamboat Willie has entered the public domain, but like Red Shirt Mickey, owned by Disney, is not in the public domain. Anything that's entered the public domain, and you can like look up this to like know, like Alice in Wonderland, like that's public domain, that kind of vibe. So Cat Cake, and this is my understanding of what she said. Once again, I would just want to clarify that this is my take, and like please don't come at me if I've misunderstood you wrong. Just tell me that I've misunderstood you. Basically, she said that we should be allowed to sell trademark characters because I guess like being owned by a big corporation doesn't really matter if like a little creator is trying to like make the thing to sell. And then she even cited something along the lines of, especially if they have like a stuffed animal version and I want to make like a Lovey version, they're not already carrying that product, so why shouldn't I be able to make it kind of vibe? This is where I kind of disagree, because at that point, where do we draw the line? Like how big does a corporation have to be like big enough to like steal their like IP from? You know? So that's like issue I take with it one. And now let's say hypothetically we carry that thought out of like, if they make stuffed animals, why can't I make Loveys? Well, if they make stuffed animals and you make Loveys, then you're now like cornered the market on like Disney Loveys. So Disney can't really put out their own Disney Loveys. And if they do, it's at like, you know, a decreased value because you've already cornered the market on that thing. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I disagree. I do think it has to be kind of like an all or nothing thing. Either like we can't steal from anybody, big or small, or like we can. And that's just my thoughts. And don't get me wrong, I'm like not sitting here holier than thou because I've sold a trademark thing or 10 in my time. And I'm not above admitting to that. You guys have seen, and I like don't hide it, it's worth noting. You guys have seen the Grinch I made like around Christmas time. I wanted to make that pattern. I brought it to my market and I sold it. I'm not advocating for doing that because it's worth noting that you can get actually sued. And sometimes there's like criminal charges that can be associated with infringement, but you know, we'll get there in a second. So basically, I've never hid this fact that I do kind of dabble from time to time. However, it is worth noting that I do try to limit these instances where I'm making a product that infringes on somebody else's design because for one, I'm in a little bit of a role model position here and people look up to me and I definitely don't want to be like advocating or promoting something that can get somebody in trouble. And for two, I also want to prove to you guys that you don't have to stock your market with Blueies, Mickeys, Winnie the Poohs, what other things that are popular that I can't think of because I'm not trendy, to make money. because me selling trademark things is so few and far between that I've made like thousands and thousands of dollars on non-trademarked items, just cute things that people like. Like, how cute is this giraffe? Adorable. Somebody's gonna buy this, and this is gonna make me money, and it's cute, and this is not an infringing product, and it's lovely. And likewise, look at this giraffe. I made a few different giraffes. Oh, his ear's a little crooked. This ear needs to perk up, and this one needs to settle down. But again, super cute, not infringing. People will buy this all dang day. That's one of the reasons why I try not to do it also, because I just want to prove to you guys that you don't have to do that, because I've seen booths at markets that are just like inundated with trademark things, and I would venture to guess, I think it's because they think that they will make the most money doing that. I feel like I've pretty much proved that you don't have to do that to make like a good amount of money. But like I said, I'm not perfect. I've even bought trademarked patterns. Look at me making a little Yoda right now. That's just my take on it. Like, I understand why it's written the way it's written, that we can't like infringe on anybody, big or small. But I just also wanted to point out, while I think that's like the right way to do it, I'm not like perfect. So I've sold a couple things that are like trademarked. So please don't cancel me. I really like my job. But like, while we're on the topic of what's like technically allowed and not allowed, because I know a lot of crochet designers do it and like it's infringing, so I don't want anybody to be confused. We're gonna like go over a couple more things about infringement and then move on. But I don't want anybody to feel like I'm calling out these designers too, because like if I'm calling people out, I've already called out myself first. So I just want to point this out. None of this stuff is like hidden, so like you guys can see for yourself. I'm not making it up or like trying to portray these people in like a negative light. So I'm actually currently doing a pattern test for Crochet by Jenna for her new Sleeping Fire Dragon pattern. It's Charmander. It's a Pokemon. So for those who don't know, this would be infringement because she's planning on selling the pattern. And the special note here is the design is trademarked, not just the name. So she can't change the name or even do like inspired by and like skirt the whole infringement issue. Like cut and dry, black and white, this would be infringement when she lists the pattern to sell. So it's worth noting that small creators have been sued, and not just by Disney. I know a lot of times when I bring up this scenario, I point out that Disney has specifically gone after small creators, but like companies have shown up at Comic-Con style events, which are like filled with infringement and like busting people right then and there. So use that information how you'd like, I suppose. The next thing to note is that it's not only infringement if you post it on Etsy, which I feel like you guys know, but also worth noting. You guys also know I love me some Madeline May Co, just like, you know, Crochet by Jenna. Both of them have appeared on my channel being talked about many a time. But she's currently selling a Groot pattern on her website, Groot being like the little tree guy character, and she literally went out of her way to post on her social media when she released the pattern saying that basically you can find all her infringing patterns on her website, not on Etsy, meaning that she is not putting them on Etsy, because if you guys don't know, that's pretty much the #1 reason an Etsy shop will get shut down. Again, it's worth noting that it's not just infringement if it's on Etsy, she's infringing just as hard on her own website. But it's also worth noting because, again, I'm not morally superior, I bought the pattern. I haven't made it yet, and it's not the first Groot pattern I own. I just like buying patterns, okay? So even though this could be argued as morally wrong because I supported her infringement, I just wanted to point that out. All this to say, I personally might just also be a reprehensible person supporting other reprehensible people like infringers and Ashley, but I personally believe her apology video, and I feel like in this kind of situation, you really only have 3 options. You could lean into it, which not always the best idea. You could ignore the fact that people were calling you out until it blows over, which in Ashley's situation actually might have been an okay strategy because Ashley is a small creator for all intents and purposes. Cat Cake and I are both small creators. I did stumble upon one other video this morning, I'll put it here, about this same topic. That creator looks like a little bit bigger than both of us, so potentially this could have like blown over just because like collectively there's like maybe like 30,000 people in total talking about this of the like 6 billion on the planet. But the like last thing she could have done is apologize, which, judging by the vibe of the video, I actually get where she's coming from now, and it's really like opened up her perspective on this. And so I think the apology video is the best video, but I know people get mad either way. If you don't say anything, you're a dick. If you apologize, you're faking it and you're a dick. So there was no good option, but I just don't get the vibe that she was saying what people wanted to hear, and I like can kind of follow her thought process despite the morality issues that obviously came up. I could see how she got to like here, and like the morality issue was sitting just right here and she just didn't go far enough into it. That brings me to my final point, which is that this is actually only a morality issue because infringement has been tossed around a lot, but I'd like to point out that this is not in any way infringement. Copyright infringement covers only the pattern. So like she can't take the pattern and like copy it and give it away. She can't take the pattern, copy it and sell it. I've heard it tossed around that you have to change like 10 to 20% of a pattern before it's like not infringement, but there is no like specified percentage that makes it like okay or not. So copyright infringement only covers the pattern, not what's made in the pattern, from the pattern. So since she did not share the pattern, there is no copyright infringement. To the best of my knowledge, Crochet by Elle doesn't have this character trademarked, which would protect her character design, thus actually creating the ability for like legal recourse in this situation. So since the character isn't trademarked, from a legal standpoint, Ashley technically did not do anything wrong. And I wanted to clarify something else. Just because you put in a pattern, credit me, or don't mass produce, doesn't mean that's legally binding. When Cat Cake reached out to Crocheted by Elle to like apprise her of the situation, basically in their conversation, one of the things that was said was basically along the lines of like, from Crocheted by Elle's mouth, like that's basically my bad for putting that it can't be mass produced in the pattern. However, even if she did this, it's worth noting that this is in no way legally binding, like that literally means nothing. Please note, this is just the actual legal standpoint of everything. This is far outside of the scope of morality issue. So because I just hear people talking about the like infringement, there was actually none of that here. Crochet by Elle, bless her heart, doesn't actually have any sort of legal protection over her pattern given the way that it was released and her like lack of having anything like trademarked or copyrighted or anything. So I'm not saying that makes it like a good thing that Ashley did this, but I just wanted to like point out, because I've not seen anybody point out, that this is like only a morality issue and not like a legal issue. Basically, technically, if Ashley wanted to, and I'm not saying it's right, but she could still sell her manufactured plushies if she wanted to. She has said she's considering what best to do with them because she will not be selling them, so she just discussed maybe donating them, but I always like to play devil's advocate, so technically she could do what she wants. Again, not saying that's right. I just like to point out like the whole like flip side of the coin basically. And then as you guys like heard, I disagreed with Kat on a couple of points. I don't think that she was like super mean, like full frontal like assault. However, I do think it is kind of mean to question somebody's character, which is how I took it, as like what Kat said is like questioning her character. And I just wanted to like point out that I can see Ashley's thought process, and maybe that's because I'm like a bit morally like inept myself. It's worth noting that at least one person gets where she's coming from. Not defending that it's good or bad or saying that I would ever do it. I just like the thought process to me seemed linear as somebody who like hyperfixates on things, and so I get that. And I also personally, honestly, don't feel any type of way about trademark or fair use, though I do think it needs to be all or nothing for like the reasons I pointed out. Like, how big does a company have to be before it like loses its protection of its designs? But honestly, as far as my feelings go, like I said, I just try to stay away from infringement for the most part, but I'm not going to get on a soapbox and preach like about like avoiding it, because that would be like a lie. Like, I have done it before. I do try to stay away from it. I got a bunch over here that are for markets that are not infringing in any way, and they're so cute. This is my giraffe face. Like I said, I'd be lying if I said I've never done it. I guess that's about it. Now you guys are like caught up. What are your thoughts on this kind of stuff? Like, did you learn anything about what you can and can't do infringement wise? And do you agree or disagree with Ashley having these ducks manufactured to help her with market prep? And if you've watched Cat Cake's video, do you agree with all the potential ramifications she laid out if we don't nip this kind of situation in the bud like expeditiously? Let me know. I'd love to figure out your guys' thoughts, because I know sometimes I can be like way left field on stuff, but then other times I feel like I'm gonna offend somebody and then everybody's resoundingly like, yeah, bro, I totally agree with you. I just never know. And communication, since we're talking about it, is hard sometimes. So let me know if you're any of the parties involved in this video and you think I've like misconstrued what you said, and please clarify like what you meant, because like I don't want to seem like a dick. This is how I like interpreted it, and that's like all I could do. I got my own brain here, so it worked the way it worked, but I am not like above being told that I'm wrong about how I interpreted things. But these are all my thoughts, and if you'd like more crochet content, you could check out the video wherever it is, and all the like videos I linked down below from other people's channels, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.